A Home Secretary that seemed to be on borrowed time for some time and now without a job.
Yeah, she was on borrowed time. It's a good point, Oliver. No one really expected her to make it through the week. There was some argument that, you want to sack senior government people later in the week so they're not in Westminster, they're back in their constituency. But I think, given that Rishi would have to face question time on Wednesday and be in the position of defending her, it really did make sense to just get it over with right out of the gates Monday morning.
And obviously, Braverman now, who is really one of the darlings of the Tory right, she will now, I imagine, take a step back and start to build her support for a potential run at being Conservative leader if what we're expecting to happen, which is the Conservatives lose the next election. She will surely have her eyes on that top job, won't she?
Yeah, I think so. I think she'll be better off as a backbencher being able to be critical of the government. And surely the Conservative wing of the party really want, in many ways, they expect to lose next year. And in many ways, it's probably better for them to be able to regroup and then hopefully, have some right-leaning conservative leaders come out of the, of the Labor administration, and then emerge for the follow-on election. So you're absolutely right. I think it'll be Suella, it'll be Kemi, it'll be a handful of the kind of new emerging young conservatives. And it's probably not going to be very good for Rishi in the next year, because he's going to, with this, I think he loses a lot of the support from the conservative wing of the party.
And of course, this comes in the week, as me and you were discussing earlier on, of this Rwanda decision, which is one of the Home Secretary Braverman's key policies. She's been driving this plan, and now all of a sudden it may go through the courts and she's now not in a job to almost take the credit. It's amazing how these two things have lined up at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is Rishi playing a little bit of, inside baseball, as we call it in America. I think he's looking at this as an opportunity for him to, be decisive, fire someone who was facing a lot of criticism for, the article last week that she wrote, that she penned in the Times, being critical of the Met Police. It gives Rishi a chance to distance himself from Suella and some of, and also align with her critics. But I don't think this really helps Rishi in the long run. I mean, the criticism of Rishi is that, he's more of a manager. He's a bureaucrat. He doesn't have a really strong conservative philosophy in the Thatcher style. And I think that's really showing now. So, I mean, I think, as I said earlier, whether the court decision goes the government's way or against the government, either way, it's a real long shot for Rishi to stay in power with the election next year. And this will cause the Conservative Party to really reflect on 13 years of power, especially the last 3 years where they had, an 80-seat majority that we haven't seen since the Thatcher years. And what are the results? What have they actually delivered? There's not much conservative movement philosophy in the Conservative Party right now in terms of their outcomes. There just haven't been any real conservative outcomes from this government.
Absolutely. Greg Svensson, international affairs expert, many thanks for joining us again to cover that breaking news. As we say, the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has been sacked. Latest reports saying James Cleverly has walked into Downing Street, the Foreign Secretary. So potentially we may be seeing a swap with Cleverly becoming Home Secretary, and then the UK would need to find a new Foreign Secretary.